So here's the thing. So if you are a petulant, diaper wetting fucking liberal like Nate Silver is, okay, then yes, if your only analysis of political action is within the confines of our current two-party system through voting, and that you have no concept of pushing for direct action and organizing, then yes, he is correct. It's true that in many aspects of life, that having a longer time horizon is rewarding, but it's easy to forget that in politics, especially in the social media era, where you get algorithmically rewarded for instant gratification. If you're a progressive concerned about conservative judicial overreach, then frankly, A, it's probably just getting started. He's right. And B, there's not a lot you can do about it in the short term other than win elections. So maybe it's time to expand the time horizon 5, 10, 20 years. So he's not wrong. From the perspective of what can be done within the confines of elections, he's not wrong. It would take even longer than that, by the way. He's actually being really positive. Considering the slant and the weight that both the inequality in the Senate works, and how inequality works in state legislatures, and how much more Democrats need to vote in elections in comparison to Republicans, it would take far longer than 20 years. It would take around 50 years to actually genuinely wait out some of these Supreme Court justices, hoping that they fucking die out soon. You know what I mean? Like, it would take a long ass time to change this. You would need to also have a fucking a filibuster proof majority in the Senate, right? And that's not going to happen. That's just the truth. We're never going to have a filibuster proof majority in the fucking Senate. So you have to abolish the filibuster. That's just the reality. It would take Democrats 50 fucking years. It would take Democrats 50 years with the way that the Senate works, with the way that, like, you can have 40 more million votes in midterms, and you can have 40 more million votes in the general elections, and still end up fucking losing to Republicans and have more Republicans in the Senate than Democrats. So it would take literally around like 50 fucking years of Democrats owning in every election for them, for us to actually change the weight in favor of a supermajority of Democratic politicians in the Senate. I mean, obviously, the United States probably, given how it's going, I don't even know if the United States will last for 50 fucking more years of this shit. So I don't know how that works, but that is the reality. Never forget that the state legislatures are in a similar capacity too, because of gerrymandering. Redistricting is devastating in a lot of states, where you can just have like an overwhelming majority of fucking Democratic voters vote in state legislatures and still have a Republican supermajority in the state legislature. That's how it is. That's literally how it is in like Wisconsin, for example. So if your analysis starts and ends on what can be done through the state machinations, through the Democratic Party and what they can do, then yes, it's not even 20 years, it's 50 years, okay? Wisconsin is a perfect example of this. What's that fucking one tweet thread that I have read before that like perfectly summarizes the situation? Where like in Wisconsin, there's a Republican supermajority in the state legislature, despite the fact that there are more Democratic voters than there are Republican voters in Wisconsin. Wisconsin would need like fucking Wisconsin, in order to change that result in the state of Wisconsin, you would literally need to like win multiple elections in a row, okay, with like a clear supermajority Democratic voter base. And it's not just Wisconsin, it's many other states as well. So just don't forget that. I have some debate. Andy Francis says, this was for states' rights. How do I tell them to shut the fuck up? Ask them, do they think states' rights is appropriate when it comes to owning slaves? And ask them why, if it was for states' rights, then they are... Actually, just don't have friends that are debate perverts. How about that? You'll have a much clearer mental state. You know what I mean? If their immediate goal is to fucking debate pervert you when like millions of women are losing their fucking right, that already was like really difficult for them to get this medical procedure. If their first inclination is literally like, oh man, well, let me debate you on this issue, then I don't know what to tell you. Like, don't be fucking friends with them, okay? Like, fuck those guys. I am a big time advocate for having friends across the board, across the political spectrum. I don't give a shit. There are plenty of people who don't agree with me, okay? Nice ad hominem, typical leftist. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I ad hominemed your mom last night with my penis, okay? And she loved it. Shut the fuck up. Get fucked. Okay? You can be friends with people from many different ideologies, but there's if they're fucking constantly trying to fucking debate you, then, it's up to you. Don't be friends with them if you don't want to. I wouldn't. I can't stand fucking debate perverts. Especially because, you have to have mutual respect. And I don't have any respect for a motherfucker that looks at a situation like this and goes, how can I make this immediately into an argument with someone else? No respect whatsoever. But that's just me. The freak Josh Hawley with a revealing take. Senator Josh Hawley calls the abortion ruling a watershed moment in American politics. He says he thinks there will be a sorting out in where people live and in voting patterns that he thinks will benefit Republicans with the Electoral College. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Yeah, there will be a sorting out. This is the thread, right? Yeah. Here, because of non-proportional representation and demographics, in order to break the filibuster and overcome the Republican 6-7 point bias in the Senate, Democrats would need to win 3 straight elections by 19 points to make abortion legal nationally. And by the way, they have to win non-stop. They have to win everywhere and non-fucking stop all the time. They need to win the national vote several times in a row by 5+ points to have a shot at breaking even. Most forecasters look at the 2024 landscape and don't think there's much of a chance for Democrats to even hold the Senate past the 2024 election. Mitch McConnell has promised that if Republicans regain control of the Senate, that he will not let Biden put any more Supreme Court justices on the bench. He would keep seats open for up to 6 years if he had to. Starting in January 2023, there is probably no meaningful hope for changing the composition of the court. It is estimated that the U.S.'s already sky-high maternal mortality rate will rise by 21% as a result of Dobbs v. Jackson. Most states are so gerrymandered that changing the composition of the state legislature is effectively impossible. That's true. Okay, the GOP has been able to maintain supermajorities in the Wisconsin legislature despite losing elections by up to 10 points. Can you imagine? 10 points. They lose elections by 10 points and they still maintain a supermajority in the state legislature. How is that democratic? It's not. It's never been, okay? Newsflash, this country was built by white supremacist slavers who were rapist pedophiles who literally wanted, straight up, for white land-owning slavers to fucking control the country, okay? Because the Supreme Court of the United States has approved political gerrymandering, G3 in most states that ban abortion, there's no realistic hope of reversing these bans by voting out the incumbents who put the bans in place. Only 8% of House seats are competitive due to gerrymandering. A few states allow voter-initiated ballot initiatives or state constitutional amendments. However, SCOTUS has allowed state legislatures to effectively overturn them. Example, Floridians voted to restore the voting rights to felons overwhelmingly, but the gerrymandered state legislature turned around and passed a law requiring felons to prove that they had paid all court fees. Remember Florida? Florida is an insane state where they go and fucking, vote for Ron DeSantis, but then turn around and vote overwhelmingly in support of voter felon voting restoration. And then Ron DeSantis turned around and implemented a fucking poll tax for the 1.5 million black people specifically that would be able to vote. Problem is, records in Florida are so sloppy that it's effectively impossible to do so, okay? The requirement was as fair as the 1950s literacy test to vote, and thus the ballot initiative was thwarted by politicians who cannot be voted out of office, aided and abetted by a SCOTUS put in place by presidents who lost the popular vote. There are very few good options for bringing back abortion rights after Dobbs v. Jackson. The U.S. political and legal system is so broken that it is completely immune to the will of the people. A lot of legal-minded folks can see the writing on the wall. The loss of an implied right to privacy under the Fourth Amendment and the institutionalizing of the Glucksberg test is likely the end of guaranteed access to birth control, same-sex marriage, and the return of sodomy laws throughout the U.S. South, at least in 12 states, which is exactly what Justice Clarence Thomas signaled he was interested in doing. In a solo concurring opinion, okay, this is one of the more damaging aspects of this fucking insane process that we are watching currently. Watching unfold, okay? Not only do 26 states effectively have, trigger laws that immediately fucking ban abortion, criminalize abortion in some capacity, or significantly, significantly reduce the likelihood that you could get this medical service, this medical process. Clarence Thomas, who should be literally impeached, by every definition of the word, because of a conflict of interest with his psychotic wife, Ginny Thomas, and her actions in the January 6th insurrection, and his very clear-cut conflict of interest on a Supreme Court decision that where he was the single fucking voter, the single no vote on a decision that would allow the January 6th Commission to actually see a documentary with Donald Trump in it, where he literally voted against it. That is a clear-cut example of conflict of interest and a judge not recusing themselves. That would not work in a lower court system where there are clear-cut ethics rules that he's in violation of. But in the Supreme Court, because they only have fucking 9 justices, they don't abide by those rules. But you could technically make a case to impeach them. Okay. And this motherfucker, instead of being impeached, is literally out here saying that not only should we ban abortions, which is happening, and leave it up to the fucking states or whatever. What is Lovinachin saying? Oh God, I don't want to know. At least a lot of people who would have been happy about this choked to death on a ventilator last year while their wife begged for money on Facebook. Oh, that's such a good one. I'm retweeting that. That's true. That's a good take from Alex. Yeah, straight up. That's a retweet. That's a retweetable take. It's not like as bad as I thought his, because sometimes he goes a little too far and I can't retweet it, but that's a good one. So interracial marriage is suspiciously gone from that list. Yeah, I wonder why Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas did not talk about Loving v. Virginia in his decision here. But yeah, he's talking about how this sets a precedent to also potentially bring up Griswold, Lawrence, and Obergefell, okay? And talking about, for that reason, in future cases, we should reconsider all this court's substantive due process precedents, including Griswold, Lawrence, and Obergefell, because any substantive due process decision is demonstrably erroneous. Right of married persons to obtain contraceptives, that's what he's talking about, Lawrence. Right to engage in private and consensual sexual acts in Obergefell v. Hodges, in Lawrence v. Texas. Okay, we're talking about private and consensual acts. And also, right to same-sex marriage in Obergefell v. Hodges are not at issue. The court's abortion cases are unique. See ante, no party has asked us to decide whether our entire 14th Amendment jurisprudence must be preserved or revised. Thus, I agree that nothing in the court's opinion should be understood to cast doubt on the precedents that do not concern abortion. But for that reason, we should reconsider it. We should reconsider all of this court's substantive due process precedents, including those ones that he's talking about. But of course, famously, he's not talking about Loving v. Virginia because he himself is a beneficiary of miscegenation laws. So, yes. Because any substantive due process decision is demonstrably erroneous, we have a duty to correct the error established by those precedents. And after overruling these demonstrably erroneous decisions, the questions would remain whether other constitutional provisions guarantee the myriad rights that our substantive due process cases have generated. For example, we would consider whether any of the rights announced in this court's substantive due process cases are privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States protected by the 14th Amendment. I'm almost certain that Loving and Obergefell have the exact same decision-making process, for the record. I might be wrong on that, but interesting that he did not put Loving in there. I wonder why. I wonder why he doesn't think that Loving is, again, look at who he quotes, saying, and SCOTUS has said this before. Yeah, he's quoting himself. I know. Getting on to the Supreme Court and working 30 plus years so you can overturn Loving seems like a weird way to just avoid getting a divorce. Yeah. Yeah, justices quote their old decisions regularly. That's normal. So, for the record, though, as far as all this shit goes, none of it matters. It's all bullshit. The idea that, like, oh, Loving is equal protection, not substantive due process, doesn't make him less evil. Okay. Well, regardless, as I was saying, it personally does not matter what kind of fucking legal reasoning they're putting forward. It's all a matter of interpretation, but ultimately it's just about hiding the true the true personal reasons as to why you're pushing for these things. It's because of cruelty. It's because of wanting to punish marginalized people. It has nothing to do, with a genuine interest in analyzing the Constitution in an originalist perspective. There is no such thing. Do not believe people that claim that they are originalists, okay? That is not a real concept. It is a relatively new phenomena in comparison to the hundreds of years of American history, and the only reason it was established was to counter, again, just like every other fucking instance of reactionary movements, a reaction or a countermeasure to the living text attitude that people had, like interpreting the Constitution in a matter that fits the needs of our current contemporary time. Okay, they just made it up. They were just like, hey man, we got to figure out a way to just like I don't know, ensure that we don't have any. We have to make sure that we are just fucking abolishing some of these like civil rights gains that were made in the Supreme Court in like the 60s and 70s. That's it. That's all it is. It is a way to mask your reactionary. I'm being serious as a previous subscriber. Are you a grifter? Yeah, motherfuckers would be about to be like, how come you only cover the news when there are news going on? And not because like you cover the news every day. I wouldn't know about that because I'm never in here unless like some shit's popping off. In which case, I do come in here, and instead of being like a productive chatter, I decide to use this as an opportunity to highlight a message saying, are you a grifter? It's almost like I'm covering the news nonstop, but you only care about it when shit's like really, really fucking hitting the fan. And you don't even care about it when shit's hitting the fan because you clearly care about their first messages show them simping for cops and Trump. Yeah. What do you think about the fact that libs and Dems are fundamentally arguing about two different things? One yells about dead babies, the other yells about choice. How can anything get done like that? It doesn't matter because ultimately the real reason, the real fucking argument revolves around what kind of medical procedure women can or can't have, okay? What can women choose to do to their bodies or what can't women choose to do to their bodies? That's the real fucking argument. The idea that this is about like, will you be doing more abortion fundraisers on stream? Yes, I want to fucking talk to my lawyer and figure out if I can like actually directly try to offer contraceptives and abortion pills to people in states like Louisiana to see if I can like let me see what would happen. Weird how fast we switch from men can give birth to women can't be equal in America without the ability to kill their preborn children. Dude, wow. Ben Shapiro, is there a fucking crisis where he can't turn it around to trans people one more time? Dude, what a fucking little twisted freak. Love that. Preborn children. What the fuck is a preborn children? He's got to be a chaser. Yeah, trans people occupy permanent space, a permanent residence in his fucking mind, like literally at all times. Ben Shapiro cares about trans people more than trans people do. Like, dollop of Danny, thank you for the 30 gifted subs. Straight up, dude. Straight up. He's just like, my man is constantly thinking about trans people. Like, President Biden says, if you live in a state that restricts abortion, today's decision does not prevent you from traveling to a state that allows it. If a state or local official tries to interfere with you exercising that basic right, I'll do everything in my power to fight that un-American attack. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, tell that to like the fucking 14-year-old victim of incestuous rape in Mississippi. Just travel to a different state, Jack. Come on. Look alive. Just leave. I don't understand. Can't Joe Biden sign an executive order to codify Roe? Well, not really. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Obviously, the executive powers are limited. He could technically do it if he wanted to, but also then you would have to take it all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court would clearly not fucking allow that to happen. Anyone ever wonder how January 6th was allowed to happen when this is the response to a Supreme Court decision? Makes you think. Yeah. I mean, they saw the rally, heard what they were saying, but just let those people march through the doors of the Capitol. I'm going to take a guess that a hard perimeter will be set around whatever building protests break out this time. To add above, we also know that the FBI knew the guys were planning this, had tons of informants in the groups planning it, and yet, yeah, it's so interesting. Also, the irony here is that Joe Biden said nothing would fundamentally change, but things are fundamentally changing. Like, make no mistake. Okay, things are fundamentally changing in this country. The Republicans certainly, waited for the best opportune time to be able to fucking strike, and this is not a new thing. Okay, what is this? Video game industry on the end of row. I'm not proud to be an American. Streamers, game developers, and brands reach millions of people. He crosses arms and turned to the camera in his desk in Los Angeles. By the way, chat, Roe v. was overturned. Tragic fucking L for America, once again, said Kabani, who boasts more than 7.4 million followers. Friday morning, the Supreme Court overturned the nearly 50-year president. Yeah. Trigger laws are already in effect, like we talked about, and I already covered this, but there's plenty more coming. Okay, there's plenty more trigger laws coming. But yeah, Alabama clinic begins turning away patients who had abortion appointments. Posted an hour ago. There's a nonprofit pill delivery org called Plan C Pills. Ever heard of them? You can partner with them. Plan C Pills on Twitter can help you with the abortion pill stuff. Also, there's a direct link to an Alabama women's center looking for donations to send their currently scheduled abortion patients out of state. We're making a pool to send our currently booked patients out of state. If you want to cover expenses, please hit this. Donate to West Alabama Women's Center. This is legit, right? Operations Director of Alabama West. You realize that the court just kneecapped Miranda rights protections right before triggering what will probably be nationwide protests? I'm sure it's just a coincidence. Yeah, that was really interesting. They also allowed the BORTAC units that can operate pretty much in every fucking state, in every populated area, to violate your Fourth Amendment rights too. Remember, then they did that last week. The Supreme Court came up with a string of very interesting decisions back to back to back, where number one, they were like, hey, Customs and Border Patrol, which can operate, okay, without any fucking legal scrutiny and operate extrajudiciously in 100 miles from any fucking border, 100 miles from any fucking airport, as in literally everywhere in the country, pretty much, okay? Any international airport. All of Florida, the entirety of Florida. There's not a place that you can go where BORTAC can't fucking do whatever they want to you, okay? And that was really cool. And coastlines, obviously, 100 miles from every coastline. Even without the international airport part of that conversation, we're talking about 2/3 of the entire population, okay? They operate without, according to the Supreme Court's decision, okay? According to the Supreme Court's decision, BORTAC units, which are special weapons and tactics for the CBP, that are operating under federal jurisdiction, they can violate your Fourth Amendment rights. They can fucking break your door down. They can come into your house and they can arrest you for any given moment. The moment that there is a fucking Republican in a position of power, the moment that, I mean, the Customs and Border Patrol already operates like as a fucking heavily right-wing institution. They are the Gestapo force. But having said that, they 100% now have the legal mandate to do whatever the fuck they want. Hutch is off the perk. Dems had a 60-vote filibuster-proof majority in the Senate during Obama's first term for 72 working days, and even then, not every Dem senator was in favor of codifying Roe. Anyone claiming that Obama could have done that, yet still chose not to, is blatantly lying. I don't know, man. Why can't I force my landlord to reduce rent? Why can't I just pay? Wait, this is perfect. He's actually arriving at the truth. Well, why didn't he force every senator to fall in line? I don't know, man. Why can't I force my landlord to reduce rent? Why can't I just pay what I want to fill my tank at the gas pump? No, you're right. The solution to both is actually the same. Yeah, it comes from intimidation. It comes from labor militancy. It comes from actually fucking forcing the hand. Hutch swore Biden would get Manchin to vote for BBB. Yeah, okay, dude, totally. Accidentally, he arrived at the appropriate conclusion, which is what I'm saying. So then versus now, I am the post-Roe generation. Look at these fucking disgusting freaks, dude. Adoption saves lives. Like, no one is saying you shouldn't adopt. Liberals think they're so smart and wise, but are still losing. Yeah. How do you cope if you are a feckless institutionalist liberal? How do you cope with the reality that these fucking dumb inbred hogs literally dominate you every fucking day of the week? They fuck you. They fuck you in the ass nonstop. They do whatever the fuck they want, brother. How does that work? You're both incredibly wise and you both understand how difficult it is to get legislation passed. That's why you can't have this agenda that you follow through on. You know what I mean? It's just Obama simply had a filibuster-proof majority, but there were some spoilers in the Democratic Party. There's still spoilers in the Democratic Party, even when we have a 50-50 split. There's always going to be spoilers in the Democratic Party. Perhaps there's something that Obama could have done in that situation, okay? There's something that Obama could have done in that situation. Threaten his fucking caucus, okay? There is a reason why there was a position called the whip, okay? You whip votes. Use a fucking literal whip if you have to. Bully these motherfuckers. Use the IRS. Come after them with the wrath of God. If you think that these dumbass fucking hog Republicans wouldn't do that if they actually had to push for a comprehensive agenda. Okay? And there was some fucking hurdles in front of them, like Republicans refusing to do whatever the fuck the Democratic Party is supposed to, the Republican Party is supposed to do in that circumstance. If you think that the Republicans would get away with them, would let them get away with, that kind of inaction, you're a fucking silly little baby. Republicans have, time and time again, done what needs to be done to get the fucking votes. They have a way better caucus and a way better whipping mechanism than we do in the Democratic Party. Biden's opinion on 1974 on abortion. I mean, dude, yeah, I don't like the Supreme Court decision on abortion. I think it went too far. Senator Joe Biden, 1974. Dude, of course, he also was a fucking advocate for, guys. Jim Crow Joe was definitely very different, okay? Look at Cawthorn, exactly. Look at Cawthorn. Biden is also, you might be shocked to find out, but Biden is also personally responsible. Like, Biden played a significant role in appointing Justice Clarence Thomas. So just remember that. So, his opinion is different now, right? But make no mistake, Biden has been in politics for a very fucking long time, and he was there every step of the way. If you think about, like, our horrifying criminal justice system that criminalizes being black, okay? The 3 strikes law. Jim Crow Joe pushed for the crime bill. The war on drugs, Jim Crow Joe pushed for that alongside fucking actual white supremacist, which he eulogized. Not clue why Chad was hating on Hutch earlier. He shares a lot of opinions you do. No, Hutch is a fucking liberal, okay? That's why. And unfortunately, when push comes to shove, there is a major difference in our perspective. I think I do not have any faith in our institutions. I've been doing this for a fucking very long time, okay? I've been doing this for a very goddamn long time. They're not pro-life. They're pro-minimizing women's rights. If they were pro-life, we'd have better gun control, universal health care, better support for homeless people and those in need. Don't be fooled by their jargon. Good shit. Respect the Pokemon. Listen, dude. Listen. My girlfriend is listening to your podcast. She also takes a lesson as a teacher to deal with school gun threats and is getting paid crumbs. Sad days. Roe v. Wade is the law of the land, and we must fight any attempts to overturn it. As president, I will codify Roe in the law and ensure this choice remains between a woman or a doctor. This is what he said when he was running for election in 2019. As an EU viewer, do you think America will implode and Russia and China will just sitting there smiling and waiting? I mean, yeah. Them sat on their ass and didn't even bother preparing an actual counterattack to a Trump Republican level threat. It's not just Trump Republican shit, okay? You have to understand. Republicans set out on a fucking conquest in 1982 when they established the Federalist Society, okay? Their stated purpose for the Federalist Society was to put justices like Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh in the Supreme Court. Okay, that was their activist judge talent pool. They went to right-wing, hyper right-wing fucking universities, okay, and law schools, and basically decided, like, we're going to fucking set up camp here. They got a lot of fuckload of funds from reactionary, billionaire, millionaire, Republican wealthy people because they knew that the Federalist Society will always protect their fucking interests, okay? Their goal was to sidestep the legislative body. Okay? Fuck Congress. We will obstruct Congress at any given point we can, and we will undermine the influence of Congress, and we will fill the lower courts and also the highest court, the Supreme Court of the United States, with psychotic, reactionary, Republican judges. Okay? When exactly did Harvard and Yale become super right-wing? I don't know. Since its fucking inception, dude. What the fuck do you think? A lot of people always talk about how, like, Harvard and Yale are a bunch of pussy SJWs. Motherfucker, Henry Kissinger came out of this institution. You know how many fucking war criminals came out of Harvard and Yale? Yale is literally just a CIA factory. Harvard itself has, like, every fucking war criminal internationally. What do you mean? Like, when the fuck have they been, like, actually woke, okay? Yeah, maybe they're like, you shouldn't... You shouldn't, disrespect gay people. But, like, ultimately, pound for pound, they have some of the worst fucking war criminals. Like, they have, like, despite Hitler level war criminals that came out of fucking the Harvard. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, George W. Bush came out of Yale. Henry Kissinger came out of fucking Harvard. Come on, boys. Larry Summers is a Harvard emeritus professor and former president. Yeah, our founders and eugenicists were so racist that Hitler had to tone it down, literally. I mean, so make no mistake, like Ben Shapiro is fucking Harvard law. These guys are disgusting. Anyway, we're gonna look at Tim Pool with only what I can call a take. If Hillary Clinton would have won in 2016, the Supreme Court would have mandated forced abortions today. Shit, I should have said, hold on. You should have been mandated forced abortion, Tim. I just fucked it up. I said you should have had one, but I should have said you should have been a mandated forced abortion. She did win in 2016. What is he talking about? This lizard fuck Lauren doesn't want you to know she had 2 abortions. It'd be a shame if everybody knew. I mean, we don't know if she actually had 2 abortions. Something I didn't think about today. What effect does a decision like this have on the pharma companies who make birth control and abortifacient pill? I don't know how to say that fucking word. Will they be prohibited for even manufacturing in certain states? No. I'm still that justices make more than a year than most people could even at the top of their fields. I can never make that much even as an engineer at the top of my field. Of course. Vatican praises U.S. court decision on abortion, saying it challenges world. What? R/aged like milk. Supreme Court justices. Yeah, I mean, of course, they all lied. Shocking.
No agenda to try to overrule Casey. I have an agenda to stick to the rule of law.
As a judge, it is an important precedent.
The funniest part is that the person that's like sitting across from them, okay, is a ranking member, okay, and she literally has dementia. Dianne Feinstein has dementia, and they actually took her off the fucking committee because of her dementia. What a perfect representation of how America works, how American politics works, dude. I love that. Remember afterwards she like hugged, was it Amy Covid Barrett that she hugged and said, what a wonderful, no, it was Kavanaugh, right? It was after Kavanaugh. Didn't she fucking say like after Kavanaugh, she was like, oh, this was a wonderful experience? So they took her off the fucking committee?
Precedent of the Supreme Court. By it, I mean Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey. Been reaffirmed many times.
Roe versus Wade, decided in 1973, is a precedent in the United States Supreme Court. It was reaffirmed in Casey in 1992 and in several other cases. So a good judge will consider it as precedent of the United States Supreme Court, worthy as treatment of precedent like any other.
Roe versus Wade is an important precedent of the Supreme Court. It was decided in 1973. The Supreme Court has reaffirmed the decision. When a decision is challenged and it is reaffirmed, that strengthens its value.
I believe the Constitution protects the right to privacy. And I have no reason or agenda to prejudge the issue.
What would he have done if he'd asked?
Senator, I would have walked out the door.
Oh, dude, how dare you? Senator, how dare you even ask me that question? I would have walked out the door and immediately signed whatever paper. He didn't say, listen, he didn't say what he would do after he walked out the door. He would have walked out the door and signed a piece of paper saying, I'm doing it right now. Okay? Let me tell you something. I would have walked out that door and immediately sucked the president's dick. Okay?
It's not what judges do.
Wait,
or
let's run that
agenda
back.
to prejudge the issue.
What would he have done if he'd asked?
Senator, I would have walked out the door. It's not what judges do.
Feinstein voted against both Barrett and Kavanaugh. Yeah, but she fucking hugged Lindsey Graham afterwards and said this was a wonderful experience. It was the fucking literal straw that broke the camel's back within the Democratic Party, where a high-ranking, long-time fucking senator was removed from a fucking committee position that she's been sitting on for like 50 years, okay? That's the reason why that was literally like, this is outwardly unacceptable. Like, they thought, holy fuck, even the optics of this looks horrible. Do you understand? They did that. That is what happened, for the record. We're not moving fast enough. The ratio, Tim. Fully banned. If banned in your state, you can travel to a state where legal, but insurance likely wouldn't pay. Some states may try to prosecute those who travel. Yes, there will be states. It's not what judges do. Well, that's exactly what judges do. So thank you. Okay, we covered this. All right, let's go back to the basics, though. Here is the Supreme Court overturning bans on abortion.
Decision in one of the most consequential cases before the Supreme Court in decades. The justices have...
Don't speak on women's issues if you're not a woman. What? Profile picture of your mom. Don't speak on women's issues if you're not a woman. Yeah, you're right. Actually, I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't speak on black issues because I'm not black. I shouldn't speak on issues that pertain to working class people, working poor specifically, or homelessness because I'm not homeless, and also I'm financially very secure. You're right. I shouldn't do that. I should just stop doing all of this and instead, let this country fucking rot in the black hole that we're going towards. Straight up. Get ready, gays, you're next, says Bette Midler. This sounds like a threat, but she's actually not.
Reached a final ruling on the Mississippi abortion law that prohibits nearly all abortions after 15 weeks and directly challenges Roe v. Wade. Let's go right to NBC News Justice correspondent Pete Williams. Pete?
Lester, in this historic decision, the Supreme Court has now overturned Roe v. Wade. Overturned Roe v. Wade and the follow-on case called Casey, in which the abortion right was made nationwide. Those two rulings stood for the proposition that states could not ban abortion before the age of viability. They could restrict it during that period up to about 23 weeks, but they couldn't ban it. Now the Supreme Court has taken that guarantee away. Lester, this is the first time the Supreme Court has ever granted a constitutional right, which it did so when Roe was decided in 1973, and then took it away, a popular right that was widely recognized. So the immediate effect of this will be to uphold a Mississippi law that would ban abortion after 15 weeks. But this also now means that in roughly half the country, abortion is, as of now, or soon will be, illegal. 13 states have what are called trigger laws that were intended to make abortion illegal in those states once the Supreme Court reached this decision. In a few of those states, the law takes effect immediately. In some, they have to wait for the state attorney general to certify that this is what the Supreme Court has done. That's 13 states in which abortion will shortly be illegal. And in the rest of the, up to about half the states, they are expected soon to make it illegal. So we're about to become a divided country, Lester, where abortion is legal in about half the states, illegal in half the states. This is a 6-3 decision. It's written by Samuel Alito. We haven't had a chance to track it yet, but you may recall that Justice Alito was the author of the draft opinion that leaked in May that suggested that the Supreme Court was going to overturn Roe v. Wade. But Lester, I have to say this is not, while it is certainly going to be surprising to some, pleasing to others that have worked for this day for many years, it can't be too much of a surprise for three reasons. First of all, the fact that the court agreed to take this case in the first place. This was a decision from lower courts that said, no, you can't strike down abortion that early because it would go against Supreme Court precedents. There was no division among the circuit courts. So why did the Supreme Court take it? The logical conclusion has to be that they took it to overturn Roe. Secondly, what they did in the Texas case when they allowed the Texas law to go into effect that would restrict abortion. And third, the comments that the justices made when the Roe v. Wade case was argued. So Supreme Court overturning Roe. This is one of the most significant historic decisions in modern times, Lester. And now it means that abortion is no longer the law of the land. It's up to the states, and it's about to become illegal in about half of them, Lester.
Have any abortion appointments been canceled? Yes, every single abortion appointment in the state of Alabama has already been canceled. Supreme Court votes 5-4 to take child bride. Supreme Court rules 5-4 to ride Stephen Breyer around like a horse. Supreme Court votes 5-4 to reclassify women as service animals. Supreme Court rules 5-4 to baptize Constitution. Supreme Court votes 5-4 to make it illegal for women to deceive men with makeup. 5-4 to add Jesus into all paintings. 5-4 to drive slowly alongside women walking home alone at night. Votes 5-4 to lock nations, toddlers in hot cars. Supreme Court rules 5-4 to reopen Japanese internment camps. Supreme Court votes 5-4 to throw beer bottle at slut. Kavanaugh, Thomas, championing creating better future for next generation of rapists. Yeah, I mean, that's wonderful. It's wonderful that they're doing that. Supreme Court more like supremely bitchless? Oh, straight up. I will explain this to you slowly. Exercising our right to protest is not obstruction of Congress nor an attempt to overturn democracy. If one were heinous enough to do that, they'd likely seek a pardon for it. But only one of us here has done that, and it ain't me. I mean, this is a fun diss, right? From AOC. Good on her for popping off, but like also at the same time, like they are overturning. Republicans have routinely overturned the democratic process and the democratic interest slowly but surely over the course of like many, many decades. You know what I mean? There is no democratic process. And sometimes you have to institute the democratic process and democratic will, the democratic agenda by force.
Reproductive freedoms are under attack.
Red states and Republican-stacked courts have rolled back the rights of Americans.
Today, with the Supreme Court ruling to overturn Roe versus Wade, more than half the states in the United States ban abortion outright or severely restrict access to abortion services.
That's why California, Oregon, and Washington are building the West Coast offense to protect patients' access to reproductive care.
We're going to work with our legislators, with our providers, with our patient advocates.
We will continue to protect patients from any state who come to our states for abortion care.
Defend doctors, nurses, and medical professionals working to support patients seeking reproductive care in our states.
We're going to protect patient privacy.
We will resist intrusions by out-of-state prosecutors, law enforcement, or vigilantes trying to investigate patients receiving services in our states.
Stop misinformation.
And we're going to expand access to abortion services for the people in need.
We will not stand on the sidelines.
The West Coast United States is going to stand strong.
We'll fight like hell to protect your rights and your safety.
Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas says gay rights contraception ruling should be reconsidered after Roe's overturned. Yeah. Jay Inslee was always kind of based and built like a fucking refrigerator. Okay, so I respect Jay Inslee. Balkanization imminent? Dude, I am so ready, dude. I am so ready for Balkan posting. All the way from California, talking about fucking the world is California. The world has always belonged to California. Everyone on the planet should just, bend the knee to Californian supremacy. Alabama Human Life Protection Act is in full effect now. The law made performing an abortion at any stage of pregnancy a felony unless the mother's health was in danger. It did not provide any exceptions for rape or incest. Yeah. Mississippi doesn't either. Greg Gavin Mehmet II Newsom will free the greater Western Americas. Baja California, you're PNW now. Let's fucking go. Yeah. What is this? America really moving backwards? Got to get the fuck out of here. Following the overturning of Roe v. Wade, Justice Clarence Thomas writes that the Supreme Court should reconsider rulings that protect contraception in same-sex marriages and same-sex marriage. Dumb question, but what happens to married gays if marriage equality gets overturned too? It most likely goes back to Sam Cedar and Jamel Bowie from the New York Times came up with a possible way to move the codifying of Roe into reconciliation by giving federal subsidies for abortions.